All right, Brian, this is an interesting juncture because obviously the team's come, as you even said and warned the last time you were on when things were going so well, we got to be careful. We got a ways to go here. You've had some guys cool off. You've had some new injuries. First, let's talk about that. You got Granderson back, Teixeira back, and Euclid back. They go all right back out the door. How has that impacted your short-term and your long-term plans?
I mean, they're devastating losses. I mean, listen, you're asking. We've been relying and asking on players, in a secondary or third, or sometimes we're running Reed Brignac out. He's our fifth shortstop out there. If you start from Jeter all the way down to Reed Brignac, and you're asking for them to hold the fort for you. And at some point, in the city of Wall Street, you have the market correction, and offensively, our market corrections come or is coming. And losing Granderson has been devastating again, and having Tex go down, and then Euclid is back, just progressively getting worse and worse. Now he's had a microdiscectomy, and he's out for 12 weeks now. I mean, those things are devastating blows. It can't be used as excuses. It certainly has drastically affected our offense and our offensive output, and we obviously got to find ways to continue to plug the holes and mix and match until these guys get back. So that's what we'll continue to do. Can
you now get a bet? Because now it seems to me, before you were going to move on whatever you're going to move on when it comes to the offense, can you now get more reasonable estimates on some of these guys? We heard recently A-Rod's doing markedly better. Can we now see anything more pinpoint on the horizon for a few of these guys if we start to take them one at a time? Not the guys who just went back out, but right. Nunez, Cervelli, A-Rod, Jeter. Let's take them one at a time. How about A-Rod? Do you now feel like you can kind of pinpoint his return at some point?
I'll give you a general. If all things go as hoped, and in Alex's case, you're talking about not dealing with a suspension too. So we'll just stay with the medical
right.
side of it.
Just
all
medical.
Things go as hoped. We very well could be seeing, most of these guys back after the All-Star break and before August 1st. So the Alexes, the Cervellis, the Grandersons, even the Jeters, that if everything goes perfect, that the 19th to the 28th range of July is feasible. But so far, everything has not gone perfect. We've experienced ups and downs or re-injuries but right now, if you had to pin me down, which, I'm answering the question as direct as I can, I'd say anywhere from the 19th to 28th of July range is you'll start seeing one or more or all of those guys if everything goes right.
Now, the obvious question.
And Nunez well before that.
Now, the obvious question. Can you survive with this group holding the fort, or can this group get to a point where it will make you have to react before that?
Listen, we've come this far, and we have to keep going. The answer to that question is we have to. We have to survive. We have to thrive some way, somehow. Now, we're not playing to that level right now, no question about it. We've really, hit the skids offensively, and pitching hasn't been as good. And even if it was as good with the offensive output we've been getting lately, it would make a difference. But we have to find a way to pull ourselves out of that and get back going. And we're 39 and 33, and we're 3.5 games out of first place and 2 games out of the loss column. But we've got a lot of stuff going on that needs to be solved and fixed and plugged and spackled and everything else you might say. And clearly these conversations are taking place. We continue to pull from within and pull from outside, and we'll continue to try to do that and hopefully get some lightning in the bottle like we did earlier with some of these guys before, maybe the lightning, wears out.
Are you going to? I mean, can we stay the course indefinitely with some of these guys who are like a Wells has really I mean, he was great the first 100 at bats. He's been a disaster the last 100 at bats. What do you just stay the course with him?
I think that, if I can put some other choices in front of Joe, it gives you a chance to give him a timeout, back off a little bit. And, he's a pro. The one thing about Vernon is that he has experienced the highs and lows of this game. And so I know he's not going to get so low that it's devastating and incapacitating for him. But ultimately, he is, someone that, we got to get the quality of bats from, just like everybody else in that lineup. And if there is an alternative that can provide, more success here in the near future, then we can go that route. When we brought Vernon in, our interest in Vernon before all these devastating injuries hit was in the wintertime to become the new version of Andrew Jones and be a bat off the bench and a potential guy that can play left and right and in a worst case scenario center. That was our interest. He is thrust into a much higher category given the circumstances and with these injuries, and he's getting everyday at bats, every single day. And in the first, month and a half or so, he was outstanding and performed well beyond our expectations. And now obviously he's struggling. I know the struggling is not going to, get him down and out in terms of woe's me. He's going to fight through it and do everything he can. But in the meantime, if I could provide choices for Joe on a daily basis to put him in a better position to get on track against certain pitchers versus others, that's my job, and I got to do that.